Hey everybody, welcome in. So good
We
to
are
see
live.
you. Yeah. How you doing, Stan?
I'm doing pretty good, Cos. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good, really good. Did you get into anything fun today?
No. Nothing fun today, that's for sure.
Well, I'm about to get into something fun tonight. I can't wait to get on that water. I'm excited about fishing tonight.
Nothing that's fun right. Today, that's for sure. Whoop, rookie move.
Uh-oh. Quit trying to be like me. So it looks like in chat, we have got a new lady, Miss Gypsy Lola. She's a new subscriber from Mike's Fishing Home. So
Awesome.
welcome in, Miss Gypsy Lola. We're so happy to have you here.
Welcome, welcome. I see Tinkerbell.
Mhm.
There's Hillbilly Hippie, HHB. How's it going?
Hey, yo, Billy Hippie.
Chris
Mr. Mike.
Everett out there.
Hey, Chris Everett. Yeah, we don't want to forget about Mike Sampson.
Without a
Well,
doubt, he's out there supporting everybody.
absolutely. Well, looky there. There came Mr. John Parker. Hey, John Parker.
Hey, I, I've heard of that guy before.
Once or twice, right?
Yeah.
And Tom just came in. I just adore LG Bass. Welcome in.
Yeah, Tom's all right, but it's all mine, Michelle. She is.
He's pretty top notch. I will
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Pretty top notch. I can't wait. I told everybody that yes, I'm going to the dock as soon as LG will let me put it on the calendar. And I told him that if I came, it had to come with one option, and that was I got to cook with Michelle one day. So I'm just as excited about hanging with Michelle as I am Tom at the dock.
I tell you what, like I said, the first weekend I was there, I think I spent more time talking to Michelle about cooking and stuff because I managed restaurants for 20 years, whatever. So I love all that kind of cooking and stuff like that. So we were talking about her KitchenAid mixers and different different styles of cooking and mise en place and all kinds of stuff.
All that good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks
Squirrel,
like
what's up?
yeah, Fishing with Squirrel came in. Creole, welcome in, Jeremy. So happy to see you. There was a couple of other ones here. Well, let's see. Catfish Viking, welcome in. So happy to see you. So glad you came to join us tonight. There's Fat Boy Eric, welcome in, and Tim Donna. I did. I just wanted to say, Catfish Viking, I did resend out that email. I hope that you got it. I kind of sent it one at a time, so hopefully you got the entire email.
Woo.
If you didn't,
I don't
just
know if
read.
y'all I don't know if y'all heard that in the background before we came on, cause I told you it started pouring.
Uh huh.
It just started thundering now too.
Oh no. Well, I mean, if it gets dangerous and you have to drop out, that's okay.
Uh, it won't get dangerous, but if it gets black in here, you know what it is.
Uh, if all the power goes out, we know. That's
That's
right.
right. I was that smart little piggy that built a brick house. So
Very good. Very good. Yes, definitely. And there, I think Miss Michelle came in. Welcome.
what's up,
So glad
Michelle?
we've already got 14 amazing people in chat. That's amazing. Thank you guys.
Well, that's because you put on a great show every week, cuz.
Well, and you know what, Stan? You helped me do it. So thank you, buddy.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So tonight we are going to cover sinkers. And we are going to, at the end, we're going to put it all together. So we've learned how to put our line on our reel. We learned basic knots, how to tie the knot onto the line. We learn about bobbers, how to put bobbers on. And so after we go over sinkers, what we're going to show is we're going to show the entire rig. So that way you are ready to start learning how to cast. And we're going to cover that next week. So we are moving right along and teaching everybody the basics. And I can't wait till we get into panfish. I'm really excited about that. And so I absolutely love to fish for bluegill and brim or what anybody calls them, sunfish, all of the same fish. And I know that's also confusing to new anglers.
Yes, technically the sunfish family, a huge family, including largemouth and smallmouth bass, all part of the sunfish family. So
Absolutely.
very interesting. But in most parts of the country, they're either called bluegill, brim, perch, uh, uh, shell cracker. Even though that's a specific monster, but they'll refer to the lump all the sunfish, usually depending on what part of the country you're in. Like where we were at up in the Northeast, they were just called bluegill or sunfish, and that was pumpkin seed, red bread, any of them, green sunfish. That's what they were. They were all just bluegill or sunfish.
Yeah. Well, where I grew up, I never heard anybody call them anything but bluegill. So
Yeah,
I know
and I
that we
know
have.
Georgia,
God, I'm sorry.
the Georgia area is brim. They'll call a lot of the small panfish. They lump them all together in brim. So
Right, right, right. Yeah, it looks like a few more people came in. You wanna call them out for us?
well, sure. I think we got Mr. Fat Boy Eric Fish in there. I see. Was it Miss Warway Virgin? Hello, everyone. Was she in earlier? Was that the other name? That's a new one.
No, no.
Catfish Viking.
Mhm. Yeah, that was going to be Miss
Mike's Fishing
Katina.
Home is here.
Hey, Mike. I see Quiet Man
I
Curtis
think
came in. Thank you, buddy.
that's right. Can't call out one brother without the other, right?
Right, that's right. Got to get the fam.
I think we
Let's
got everybody. I'm not seeing anybody else here. Awesome. Seeing
just
up to 16 awesome people. Thank you, everybody.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Look, lady came in. Hey, so good to see you. I'm so happy that you came in. Uh,
And there's Dave G. How's it going, David Char?
hey, welcome in, everybody. So, like I said, today we're just going to cover the rigs, and we're just going to cover. Stan's going to talk about a few different weights, but right now we're pretty much just getting the basics going. And so we're going to talk about split shots. And so then we're going to put the whole rig together, and we're going to go from there. So, a split shot. What these are is they come in a pack. They either come in a little container like this, where you can have different sizes with you, or they come in a plastic pack. And they look like that on the side. And then the center, that's why they're called split shots, is open. And that's one kind. That one is the removable kind. And how you know the difference is because do you see that's the front? Let me get over on my camera. And you see where it has these two little split, you can squeeze that with your pliers and open it back up. So you can close it on this side and open it back up on this side. And they also have just plain round ones. And on the round ones, there is nothing on the back. They're round all the way around. So that's the two different ones as far as split shots are concerned. That one's a tongue twister after you say it so many times. And different people have different preferences on whether they would like the non-opening one or the one that you can open and close. I honestly prefer the ones that don't open and close myself, but I definitely see the utility in using these, in using the ones that do open. So, it's just you'll find with any part of fishing that it's going to come down to once you learn the basics, then you're going to find what you like, what kind of equipment that you like, what kind of you're going to have your preferences, and all of that is perfectly okay.
And it goes to, you'll start developing favorite fish that you like to fish for. Some people want to start using, you'll start out with live bait or cut bait or whatever, and switch to lures, and then there's a whole other thing. But yes, that's what's great about fishing. You can start at just the basic, a pole, a stick, and a hook, and you can go all the way up to whatever you want.
That's exactly right. So, let me jump back over here. Let's see. I seen that name that you said, Mr. Lance McCougar came in. Welcome.
What's
And
up, Lance?
Miss Ware Virgin, I definitely do. Thank you so much for coming in. And let's see. Dave Garcher came in. Welcome. So glad to see you. There's Mike Irvin. We're up to 18 amazing people. Thank you guys. And thank you, Creole, for reminding them to hit that thumbs up as they come in. So the way that the convenient thing about split shots is that you can either close them if you squeeze hard enough, you can close them with your finger. Most fishermen, you'll notice, and this may gross you out, but most fishermen use their teeth for everything. I use my teeth for it just because.
I bite my night crawlers in half with them.
I
I'm just
know.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, 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 no. We don't do that. No, 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 no. But I, you know, yeah, I mean, we definitely use our teeth for tying knots. We use it. It gives us an extra hand, gives us, just something else to balance 400 things out. So, if you see a fisherman, just, grab it, put it in their teeth, don't be offended. Just know that that's a part of it. As you get used to it, it's just a part of fishing. So,
And we kind of brought that up a little bit with tying knots. Remember,
mhm,
if you use monofilament, you're supposed to wet the line a little bit. It's like I
mhm.
said, you can either dip it in the water, put your finger in water, or you can just wet the line a little bit. Of course,
Yep,
I'm old school. We always just put it in the mouth a little and
that's
let
right.
saliva.
I do the same thing. I do the exact same thing. But, new people or, are new women to the community or whatever, they may not think that's okay. And that's okay because
Mhm.
that's when you have pliers. And I wanted to show these really small pliers. And what's really cool about these is they fold up and they compact down to that. So any kid, there's not anything sharp on it. Of course, there is the squeezing power, but any kid can put this in their pocket or put this in their tackle box, and they have pliers that they can use to put their lead on. And as they learn, they'll be able to do it better and better. But if you get them a tool that fits their hands, they're more likely to use it. So we want to provide things that make kids feel comfortable going fishing, that gives them independence. And that is something that will do that. So, like I said, you want to make sure it doesn't have any sharp anything on it, depending upon how old the kid is. But it's definitely a good idea. I use these sometimes. I use these a lot, as a matter of fact, whenever I've got a smallmouth fish that I'm trying to take the hook out of. I will use this to pull the hook out because it's smaller and I can get in there without, ripping their lip or damaging them in any way. So I definitely always want to do that. Now the split shots are very simple, so it's not going to take very long to teach this. But what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it up with how to make the entire rig. So that's the focus. So I'm using braid just because it's orange and everybody can see it in
You
the
can
camera.
switch the screen size down so they can see it a little better.
Yep. Okay. All right. So the simple thing is you would just hold it between your fingers with the split shot open. You're going to lay your line in that split. You're going to make sure that line is down on both sides, right? And then you're going to use your pliers or your hand. And I'm just a little woman. I'm not strong, but Judge might argue one time I punched her, but that's okay. But that's it. And it's on there. And what you want to really look for is, and to know with these weights, is that they can damage your line and they can compromise put a nick in your line if you tighten them down too tight. So you want them tight, but you don't want them where they flatten out, because lead will give real easy. If you bite it, you're going to see, a tooth mark in it. So lead is soft. And if you compromise it, what's going to happen is you're going to get a fish and it's going to break at the sinker because you over tightened it. So again, when you're putting all your line together, we'll remind you, but you want to make sure and fill your line and make sure you have no nicks in it and nothing that will cause that to lose a fish, because there's nothing more heartbreaking for a new angler than to lose a fish. It's heartbreaking for all of us, but it's really heartbreaking for someone who hasn't caught very many fish, especially a kid.
I was gonna say, Kaz, I don't know if you saw, we were fishing at night a couple weeks ago. It's heartbreaking. I've been fishing over 50 years, and it's heartbreaking to me still. I was almost in tears.
It is. It is. I see Chris Everett and Alicia Barnett, Miss Pontoon Jody herself came in the door, so welcome. All right, and so the removable ones, that's the one with the extra little wings back here. Let me see. You see the wings? There, you can see them better. So the side that's the most open, that's not the side you want to use. That's your leverage. It's going to be the smaller side. So it's going to be the same exact thing. You're going to hold the split shot in your finger, or if you have your line up like this, if you have your line up, all you're going to do is put your line inside and you're going to squeeze. If you feel like you need the pliers, that's when you would use the pliers. And there's your split shot. The tighter you get it, the less it will move on your line. So if you tighten it down and it's just not tight enough, or it didn't completely tighten down, just get your pliers and then squeeze it down. And then your split shot, I don't want to tighten it down on this one, but then your split shot is stable. Now to take it off, let me see. All you're going to do is hold it on this side, and there's the wings, and you're going to take your pliers and you're going to depress those wings. And what that does, let me see, is it opens that side right back up. So you can reuse it. You can use it again. So that is just as simple as that. Split shots are not hard. I would say I do it a little bit different. Most of the information, Creole said, I think fish breaking off or something failing is even worse than coming unhooked. And I agree. It's heartbreaking, especially for a kid. And Alicia, it is. It's heartbreaking every single time. Absolutely. So it is. It's devastating. Hey, Del Hayslip, welcome in. So, you've got some different sinkers, don't you, Stan, that you're going to show?
Oh, well, of course. So
now these are going to be upcoming, but we are just going to show these because we're kind of showing where we're at and where we're going. So what are we looking at, Stan?
First of all, for the beginning anglers out there, the whole purpose of a sinker, just like a bobber, a float, was to keep your bait up off the bottom at a certain depth. Well, your sinker, the whole purpose of a sinker, number one, it's to add weight for casting. Mm-hmm. Number two, it's to bring your bait down into the water column. So if you're using a weight just by itself on the bottom of the line, it's going to bring it down to the bottom. If you're using the rig like what Kaz was talking about, where you got the bobber or the float up on top, the sinker underneath, that's just going to keep your bait down. It's going to help keep your bait down at the certain depth in the water column. So pretty much basic things. And with sinkers, there's basically two different kinds of sinkers. The split shots, like what Kaz was talking about, that's the simplest, easy. Boom, you pinch a couple of them on your line, and there's different sizes, like she said. So you put them on there. If you're fishing in deeper water with heavier bait, you're going to need more of them. If you're Uh, uh, Sometimes you get away with just one, but that's what I like about the removable ones is you can put a couple on, or you can put one on, add them on, see what it is, and you may be starting to fish in a deeper spot and move to shallower water where there's current not going so fast, and you may not need that much weight on there. You can take them back off without having to retie everything. But so other than that, there's basically two different types of sinkers. You got your sinkers like this that have, you see the hole in it? They're slip sinkers, just like the bobbers, the slip floats. They're slip sinkers, which are meant to go up and down the line. And then there's going to be, these can be used the same way. Anything that's got something the line can slide through, you can use them as a slip sinker, or you can tie it off. You can tie it off at a certain spot, and then it's a fixed sinker. But that is, here's a couple of different ones. These are once you get going up and you're fishing rivers and things, and especially for catfish, this is what I think most people have started with. Once they went up from the split shots, they went up to something like this, which is just a regular old bank sinker. This is a 5-ounce one. This is a 2-ounce one, because the bigger current that you're fishing in, that means the current is how fast the water's moving. You're going to need a heavier sinker to keep it down at the bottom, to keep it in the one spot in the water. This one, this is, even as you get going on after that, this is a big coin sinker, obviously, because it's flat like that, and it looks like a big coin. They're called coin sinkers. This is just a small one. This is only an 8-ounce one. So this one here is about half a pound. We can use them when the water, we fish some deep water, and sometimes going pretty good. So 8-ounce. A lot of times we'll go even higher, 10, 12, even up to 16 ounces or more sometimes. But sinkers are super, super important for fishing with live bait or cut bait. Probably one of the next most important things, other than your hook. So
Absolutely.
But that was just some other ones. This is one that's used a lot for saltwater fishing, if you're going to be fishing in saltwater. Or you can also use it. It's also good in the rivers or lakes if it's got a muddy or a sandy bottom. It's a pyramid sinker, so when it sits, it's got the square part that kind of sits on the bottom and it digs into the mud. So that's really secure. That's why it's used a lot in saltwater for surf fishing, because most of that from the surf coming in and out, a lot of that is a sandy bottom. So it's good for holding in on the sand and stuff. So each sinker, as we get more complex, each sinker has its own purpose. So, but that's just some of the other ones you can go to.
Absolutely. Well, and two, and I'm glad you said that. I guess I should have started with that. So that's my rookie mistake. But the definitely, as far as sinkers, since we're going to start covering bluegill and brim first, you don't even have to cast. If you go to a dock or you go somewhere, you can just drop it straight off, because the bluegill are pretty much going to be there around structure underneath or right in there. So, and you never know if your water has, if it doesn't have much current, then you may get away with one sinker. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to get something like this that's got a variety of sizes in it. And that way you can try different sizes. So that way you'll know. And what you want from it is you don't want it so heavy that, it's just hanging there and it's weighing down the pole, but you definitely do want it heavy enough to where it will hang straight down in the water column, because you want to be able to control your depth. We talked about that a little bit last week on having to figure out what depth the fish are in. And we'll go over all of that, again. So, but that's really important, and weights are extremely important in that. So, absolutely. Thank you for going over that. That was great. But yeah, we do. We use some big old sinkers. I know Alicia was saying, smaller weights, work in her lake, between 3 and 6 ounces or 5 ounces. And then, Jeremy said that it was uncommon. It wasn't uncommon if they were using 20-ounce weights. So
Well, and those that don't know, Creole catfishing out there, Jeremy, he fishes off of the Mississippi River.
mhm,
So they have, the bigger the river, the bigger the current, the faster it's going to move your bait along, the more weight you need. You were just talking about keeping it straight. The more weight you're going to need to keep your bait at that one point that you want. So
exactly, because as the current moves under the water, it's move. You can see it moving on the top, but it's moving like that all the way down through the water column. So, if you notice your bait or your line is traveling over, then you know that you don't have enough weight on that, and you need to add another sinker. And you can start out. When I first started out, I didn't know how many to put on there, but so I know I usually start putting my split shots about between 6 and 8 inches above my hook. And then from there I add. How do you do it, Stan?
well, with split shot, there's a couple of different things. It depends on what you're fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will actually, depending on how many you need and if you're fishing in moving water or not, like some people will put a split shot every so many feet so that it keeps the whole line in current, so that the line won't get bows in it or slack line in it. It keeps the whole length of the line tight. But usually I'll start with the one towards the bottom.
Yep.
Uh, if I'm using that for bluegill fishing, probably same thing, about 8 inches or so up above the hook, and that's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Welcome in, Bushwhacker. I'm so glad that you came by. Thank you so much.
Good
We've
to
got
see
some
you.
new people at the show today. We've got 31 amazing people in chat right
Awesome,
now.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah, everybody, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll know when the show starts every week. Don't want to miss out on this. I think we've got a great little thing going here, and we're definitely excited about moving on and getting into actual fishing. Um, but let's go ahead and put a rig together, and then that way we can kind of see what it all looks like together. So we have our line. So what I'm thinking is, okay, so what is going to be the first thing that you put on your line? Because it's coming from, let's see, let's do this. Too far both ways. There we go. So that's coming from your fishing pole, right? And so whenever you're going down to your hook, the first thing I would do, it fell down. First thing I would do, of course, is tie a swivel, but you don't have to do that. So we're doing the basics. I would put a swivel and attach it, and that way I had a leader line, but that's just me. I might not do that for bluegill though. So first thing we want to do is because remember our bobber clips, it clips on this particular one, and our split shots we just squeeze on. So we don't have to thread or put anything on the line before we actually tie the hook. So the first thing I would do is tie my hook. So you just take your line and double it over. Remember, let's see, let me go back to this. There we go. So you're just going to double your line over, and you have your hook, and you're going to go through the eye, putting it in her mouth like we just talked about. I just do it. You do it out of habit. You don't even think about it. I am too blind for this. Sorry, guys. You thread it through the eye of that hook, and it is a small hook. And I do have 80-pound braid. So if you can't get it, that's okay. Put it through the one way. Well, no one's not going to work. Let's do this one. Let's see. and picked up the same stinking one. Okay. What you can do is put it one way through. If you can't get it, put it one way through. And then if you want to do the knot that I taught you, you would just go back through the eye. And it's easier to do that than get it to double over sometimes. So you would just pull a little extra and then you have your loop. And then you can pull more line and make this a bigger loop. So that way you have enough material, because you want to give yourself enough when you first start, because you don't want to have to go back. So all you're going to do is tie it over like you tie your shoelaces and do a regular granny knot. And then you're going to have this loop right here. You're going to have this loop. And what you want to do is you want to take it around your hook and pull tight. Now you'll want to wet your line, because if you don't wet your line, then it's not going to tighten down as tight as it needs to be, and it's not going to hold as well. So you want to take your finger, wet your line, and I pull both strings. And with catfish, it doesn't matter if you leave a little string by the hook. Of course, we wouldn't tie this knot fishing for catfish anyways. But with bluegill, they're very sensitive to little things. They're touchy little boogers. And so what you want to do is you want to cut that as close as you can. But still giving it just a little bit. And so that's the easiest knot I know to get on the hook. So next, what we're going to do is I would go ahead and put on my bobber. So remember, whenever we put on the bobbers, we're going to put this to the top and this to the bottom. The lighter color up top, remember, sunny side up, because it's easier to see in the water. Because if you're looking at this, trying to look at this, it's darker and it's not as bright. It's always going to be a lighter color on the top. Hey, avid fisherman, he walked in, all that fluffing stuff. Got a couple of other people in. So the way I do it is I depress this button and go ahead and put my bottom line on. Wrap it around. Put your thumb on the bottom to hold that in. And expose that little hook up there. And being I'm blind, there it is. All right. So now we've got our bobber. And the other thing that a sinker does is it helps keep your bobber correct in the water. So you definitely want to have some type of sinker on here, because that way your bobber is going to stay up and down in the water. So now, depending upon where I was going to put my sinker to start, I would go ahead and I would go about 6 inches up, and I would thread that in just like that. And then I would bite it, but I'm not going to do that. Use my pliers and squeeze it. Now you do want it to where it's not going to slide. You do want it, tighten it down enough to where it's not going to slide. But there's your hook, there's your sinker, and there's your bobber. If for some reason your bobber is not sitting up in the water like it should, you can always put another sinker on right underneath it. So you can do the exact same thing. You can use a smaller sinker. See, they come in really small sizes. So you can put a different size sinker or the same size sinker depending upon. And this kind of is what Stan was talking about too, It will help keep your line straight all the way up. All right, those small ones, I am blind as a bat, guys. So I struggle. I have to get it down to where I can see it. Okay, and then you're gonna squeeze that one. So this is coming from your fishing pole. Then you got your bobber, and then you have one or two sinkers, and you may need more. Just depends on the water you're fishing. And then you have your hook. And that, my friends, is a completed rig that you can take any new angler or any new kid to the lake, and they can fish for the very first time using this, or they can fish for the 50th time using this exact rig. You know, there's a million different ones, but this is the basic. This is what is going to get them started and not frustrated. And that's what I want to do, is provide a way to do things that are not frustrating, that put the fun into fishing and put the love into fishing. So that is exactly how you would tie a complete rig. Now, if you've got a kid or you're fishing in an area that is covered. Oh, right here. Creole's got a good point. Let's put this up. Sometimes if the bobber is not sitting upright, it could also mean that the weight has touched bottom in shallow water. Shorten the bobber in that case. That's exactly right. That's right, Piggy. But that's it. That's a great point, Creole. That's a great point, and I missed that. So thank you for putting that. That's exactly right. If it does, if it's touching the bottom and your bobber looks all wonky, and you know that you have a weight underneath it, and it shouldn't be sitting that way, then either you need another weight, or it's sitting on bottom, and you need to pull your bobber up and adjust that. And we went over that last week. You can definitely go back and watch that video. Stan did a great teaching on bobbers and exactly different ones and all the different types and all of that. So go back and watch that episode if you missed that. And so,
Yeah.
how would you rig up a beginning rig, Stan? Because I know you would do it a little differently.
Well,
What?
pretty much the same way. Pretty much the same way. That's another simple way. I'll show another way, because if, like Creole was saying, sometimes you're fishing shallow water. Sometimes you're going to cast out, and it might be deeper water where we might not even have the float. We covered some of that stuff, like the slip floats, things like that. But even on the rig where we're using the bobber, sometimes I'll tie a rig where the sinker is going to be at the bottom, and the hook will be up from up from that a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can still put your bobber up the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then what'll happen is, if you want to fish on the bottom, you can just take your bobber off and cast. You don't got to retie that rig. So it's basically just a dropper rig. We went over these knots on before, but I'll just do it real quick. Little drop.
Yeah, show it one more time and give them a reminder, because now we're putting it all together. So
this is the dropper rig. Here's going to be the bottom. We're going to put our sinker down there. Mm-hmm. So you make a loop, and you got a hole right there. You just take this and you twist these around. The smaller hole, you twist the lines around each other. So you got a few twists over here and a few twists on that side. And you've got the big loop over here still. So then you take this big loop and put it right through the center of it. Now, this is where we were talking about having the other hands or using your teeth. Mm-hmm. Or sometimes, so you put it through there, and then you just pull it tight. Mm-hmm. So now that's your dropper loop. And then underneath it to put the sinkers on. If you got the split shots like Kaz was showing, you can just put the split shot on there. If you're going to be catfishing or using a little bit heavier bobber, a good way to do that is just make a loop at the bottom. Take that whole loop, wrap it around like that. They call this either a surgeon's knot, a figure eight knot, but you push it through. I usually go through that twice. And you want to leave it big enough so that the sinker can go through that, but you put that on. Now, it's using one of these kind of sinkers. Like I said, you can still use split shot with this one. Your hook is going to be here. This is the line going up to your reel. Your hook is going to be there, but the sinker is going to be on the bottom this time. So you can put your split shot on. I'll show the split shot since that's what we're talking about here. But same thing like Kaz said, there's the split shot. So you could put that on the bottom. Here it is with a bank sinker. Basically take that loop, you put it through the eye of the sinker. So it's like that. You go back through.
Lost Hands grabbing that Creole. Would like a float like this, would that work on what he's talking about on refishing? Just a regular peg float, maybe a bigger one than this, like a 3 inch or 4 inch or something. I think this is 3, probably 4. Do you think that would look? Go ahead, Stan. I'm sorry. I just want. I
No,
was trying. We had a
that
question in chat.
that is all right.
Oh wow.
So then you take that loop. Now you don't even have to tie the hooks on. You just take that loop. Same way you put your bobber on. There's the eye of the hook right there. You push that through the front of the eye and you pull it up like that. Now you've got you got the sinker on the bottom. You got a dropper hook there. Then however far up you want to fish, if you're trying to fish in like 3 feet of water, if that's how deep it is. Now again, this is bigger size sinkers and hooks and line, just so that you could see it better. If you were fishing for like sunfish and bluegill, you wouldn't use this thick a line and big of hooks and bobber, but this rig will work. No matter what fish you want to catch, that bottom rig like that will work. You just for panfish and stuff, you use the smaller hooks and the smaller line. If you're going for bigger fish, like even bass, like I live bait fish for bass this way. You can where you put like a live minnow or a live shad on there. Then you might go up to, for panfish, you're probably looking at like 6-pound test, and bass 12-pound. And as you go up into bigger catfish and stuff, you use thicker line and bigger hooks. That's just how it works. But that same rig will work for all of them.
Absolutely. And all that fluffing stuff, the question that Creole has been wonderful and helping in chat. Thank you so much. But all that fluffing stuff, he fishes the Great Barrier Reef, and he was wanting to know, what kind of float. So show him the float that you have right there. That's perfect. Or a big peg float that would go on top of that dropper rig. So that may be a great rig for him.
Oh, well, if he's gonna have it float, and yeah, you could use a float like this. You would put a bobber stop up on there. This will
Mhm.
float. A thing like this will float ounce, a big sinker, and that'll float it up off the bottom. But you'd put a bobber stop, and you have that sliding up and down the line. Trying to
And
find. Here we
yeah,
go.
and one thing, Fluff and Stuff, go back and watch last week's video. Stan really did a great thing on bobbers, and he actually showed how to measure how deep you need to put your bobber with the big rigs. So go back and watch that episode. I think you'll really get some good information from it.
But yeah, these
Oh,
bobbers.
perfect. She's a woman. I love that. I love that even more. Go ahead, Stan. I won't interrupt you again. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, you're fine. You're fine. But and when you're putting your float on, we were talking last week when we were going about floats. If you're fishing shallow water, this fixed float, like what Kaj snapped on the line, it's going to stay at that one thing. You can cast it. Where if you're only got about 3 feet of depth, or if you're tall like I am, I can hold my rod up and I can have a fixed float and have the bait about 9 feet under. But that if you're using a fixed float, if you're fishing in 3 feet of water and you put your bobber right here, well, the fish are down here. They're never gonna. The purpose of that float is to have your bait at a certain depth down in the water column. So that's where you can decide where you put your float.
Excellent.
And if it's going to be, I mean, we're just talking about beginning bluegill fishing, so that'll work with the fixed float. You put it about, depending on how deep you're fishing, 2-3 foot up the line, but that'll work.
Yep.
But I like that. I like using that rig right there. That's me, but I
Absolutely.
use
And all of
and
us
the,
like new different stuff. I mean, that's why I was saying, we all learn and then we get our favorite ways that we do things. Hey, Uncle Lou.
and the good thing with that is that you can to change hooks or even weights if you go to a different spot and it's deeper or shallower or there's less current. All you do is push that line. There it was like that. You push the line through,
Hmm.
and you can take that sinker off and put a new one on.
And
Or
it gives you two lines to hold your sinker and your hook, so it gives you double the strength.
or same thing with the hook. If you want to change your hook, if we're just starting out, so maybe we got a hook that was too big on or too small, and we're like, you know what, I need to change a hook. Same thing. You just push that line back through, slide your hook off, put your different hook on, and that's another reason why I like that rig. So you don't got to retie hooks and sinkers and everything all day.
And we do all know how frustrating that is. And that was another reason why at the top of my rig I would tie a swivel. If I was taking a kid fishing or a new fisherman or fisherwoman, anybody, I would tie up. I would put a swivel on the end of that with a clip, and I would put a clip on my other end. And that way, if you lose a rig, you've got another one. You can make up 4 or 5 of them, and you've got them. You can sit with
Yeah.
your kids at home and take even more time teaching them how to do it. And then they're prepared. If they throw it in a tree, if they do whatever, maybe you can get it back enough to get to your
Well,
clip.
and here's one more little tip. Obviously, I'd rather have the right sinkers and everything. But let's say you're out there, you forgot your sinker box, and you're like, oh my gosh, I ran out of weights, whatever. Obviously, if you want the best weights in the business, check out Title Weights, Brad Cottle on Facebook. But if you ever run into a situation, I always keep rubber bands in my tackle box. Always, always, always keep some different size rubber bands in there. They're absolutely amazing for a whole bunch of things. So again, with this same thing where I have the loop here on the bottom
Hmm.
for a sinker, what you do is you take your rubber band,
Hmm.
you put it through that loop, and then you just same thing. Then you put the rubber band back through itself, so it's on the line like that. So now you got that rubber band there. This is the rock I just happen to have here. Most places where we fish, there's rocks on the bank. You find yourself a rock that about the weight that you need to use. And the good thing with this is if you're fishing in a really super snaggy area, which the best fish are they got cover. There's rocks, there's trees. Well, if you get snagged a couple times and you want to still fish the area, but you don't want to keep losing weights, put the rubber band on, find a rock about the weight you want to use. I keep rocks in my thing too, just in case for that same thing. But then what you do is just wrap the rubber band. You keep twisting it around like this a bunch of times till it's on there nice and tight. But you just keep going and keep going. I would twist it around a little bit more, but there you go. There's your weight. And
anybody can afford a rock.
That's right. Rock and rubber bands. So always keep some rubber bands with you.
Yep. I see Brian B came in. Welcome. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talk about expensive equipment, and yeah, when we're catching, 50+ pound fish, we need different equipment. But for bluegill fishing and for even crappie fishing or, small species of fish, a rock will do you so well. That's right. And you don't use that as an excuse.
Creo was there last year on one of my lives. It was flooded waters here. The water was coming through. We had to go to a certain only spot really we could get to fish. It was a rocky area, cast out snag. We snagged like 3 times in a row. I'm like, I ain't losing any more weights to the river. I put the rig on. Tied that rig on right there with the rock on the bottom. Stand 3 got a fresh shad. We put the fresh cut bait on there, cast that out. So that whole rig was a hook, a rubber band, and a rock. That was what the rig was. And I think it was a 20-something, it was a 22-pound flathead within minutes with a rock, a rubber band, and a hook. So even for the big catfish, sometimes you go back to basics, and it really works.
Absolutely. And also, that, you can, like I said, you can use a stick and put some fishing line on it. You can use rocks and rubber bands. Don't let it stop you from trying to go fishing. And now in our day and time, we've got YouTube, we've got the University of YouTube, so we can get on here and just about learn how to do anything. When I was a kid, that wasn't available.
Well, when I was a kid, what we looked to try to figure out how to do things was Little Rascals. So
yeah, right. Well, that was my time too. I was there. So, I mean, now we've got the ability to go on and look how to do anything at any time. So, use these videos. If you know somebody, have them to go back and watch them from the beginning. We're week 5. So, there's not that many that we've got piled up yet. So, I just want to encourage you, if you haven't, the first week we went over fish basics. Week 2, we how to put a line on a spin caster and spinning reel. Week 3 was basic knots. Week 4 was bobbers. Week 5 is sinkers, and we're tying it all together. So you've got your rig to go fishing with. And next week, we're going to go over casting a spin caster and a spinning reel. I watched, I've been on Catfishing Curtis about bringing his kids on the show, and they finally accepted and said they wanted to come on the show. So I'm really looking forward to getting them scheduled. But he showed his little girl. She went over and cast a spinning reel, and I think she's 4 or 5. She did it like a professional, and I was like, that little girl's got to get on this show. Yeah. Did you see what Brian? That
Yeah. That's right. We used to cut those in the rocks. That's how I learned about it. We didn't have metal back then. That was before the Iron Age.
That's hilarious. Hey, Life on Cats. So we're going to do a giveaway. I'm trying to get things to go in kids' tackle boxes and all that. So this nifty little sinker holder that's got 4 different size sinkers. We're going to go ahead and give that away. Jeremy, I just wanted to say that rod and reel is on its way. It should be to you, if not early tomorrow. And Whisker Dreams, no, Jody didn't have on them on the boat, but I hopefully will get them tonight. How Danny's Tackle, welcome in. So let's go ahead and do the giveaway real quick. So let me go ahead and share screen.
That's right, Creole. My driver's license number is V.
All right, everybody, let's go ahead and enter hashtag sinkers.
And once we get that going, since this is a show for the younger angler, I got something that might make them laugh a little bit, but
Let's have it. Let's see.
We'll get that going. Okay, y'all ready? I couldn't believe that I had actually heard this the other day. Happened to one of my friends. He hurt himself, and Kaj, you're not going to believe this. He hurt himself playing peekaboo with his younger daughter. He had a peekaboo accident. I don't know if you can believe that or not. Yeah, he was peekaboo accident. You know where they took him?
Where?
The ICU.
I love it. That's a good one. That's a good one. Well, and I'm excited too because that's so cute. Once we go over, Sandy said she's going to be taking her 4-year-old grandson fishing this year. She can't wait. I can't wait either. I started everybody. I started a Facebook page for the show. So anytime you take your kids fishing, anytime you get out there and fish, go ahead and post your pictures on it. I will hopefully get some pictures tonight that I can post on there. And it doesn't matter to me if you're catching big fish or little fish. Go ahead and post them on the page. I'd love to see them. Give some encouragement and just know that it's fishing for all, just like it is the show's name. And hopefully we can get a nice little group going over there and get some really cool pictures and things going on. So, and especially if you've got kids out there fishing, please post those. We definitely want to see those.
And we've got some more awesome people that came in. There's Bugman22, Lapping Catfishing. You said Silver Fox Sandy. I think we're caught up.
Cool. If we missed anybody, it was certainly not intentional. Hello and welcome in. Definitely, we're happy that you're here. We've got 29 amazing people still in chat. So we are good. Now tonight we have got Bait Shop following this show. We also have Bex and Stevie that are fishing on the bank. They started about an hour and a half ago. I think they'll probably go a little bit longer if they're still going. And then after that, we've got, is it cat? What is it? What is it tonight?
8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, you've got the Bait Shop, like you said. And then 9 o'clock is Panfish Nation. Mm-hmm. Followed by the Flathead Challenge on Pontoon Jody Network. I think you know a little bit about that one, Kaz.
I do. I know a little bit about that. I'm fishing in that with Jody again tonight. And yes, he does count as a big kid. Absolutely, lady. Yes, absolutely. They all do. But yes, we're going to be fishing the Flathead Challenge tonight. So if you guys haven't subbed over to Pontoon Jody Catfishing, please go over there and do. If anybody would drop her link and drop Stan's link, I would really appreciate it. And come over and watch us fish from 10 to 2. It's going to be a blast. And then I don't know yet, but we may go live in the morning on my channel. So we'll just have to see. We're going skippy fishing in the morning before I come back home. So we're staying all night long.
Woo.
All right, let's go ahead and get this up here. Let me get it to where we can see it here. Let's see.
Ah!
Hey, there it is. All right, here we go.
Who's it gonna be? It's still going.
Hillbilly
Wow!
We got a new. This is the first time she's been in the show. I think she may have been last week, but welcome. I'm so glad you won. I've actually already got your address, so I will get these out tomorrow to you, and
And
I
just
hope that you enjoy them.
big shout out to her. Changed up the name a little bit, made it a little bit more family friendly.
Thank you for that. We
Great
definitely
seeing you.
absolutely. It comes on at 10 o'clock. So right now it is 8 o'clock. So it will be in 2 hours from now, and it will
That's
go
right.
on for 4 hours from there. But it is time for the bait shop. And like I said, if you go over and see Bexy and Stevie, let them know we sent you. Let them know we sent you over at the bait shop. And thanks everybody for joining us. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dan. Do you got any closing words?
Well, just anybody out there, you got any questions at all, you can drop it in any of the comments on the videos at Two Stands Fishing. I usually catch most of them. You can also try emailing me at twostandsfishing@gmail.com. I am horrible with it, but hopefully I will eventually get to it. I've been supposed to email Northeast Tackle there for about 3-4 weeks now. I'm
Yep.
I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to get better at it. But
Yep.
thank you, thank you. Another great show, Kaz. Awesome, awesome. Appreciate everybody being out there. Thank you for everybody coming in. We really appreciate you. Jay Fox, good to see you.
Absolutely. Hey, Jim. So glad you caught. So glad you made it. Thank you, Tim. I hope everybody has a great week, and I will see you later on Pontoon Jody's channel. All right,
I'll see
guys.
you too.
How big was that sturgeon? One more time, Stan. Go
Oh,
ahead. Let's see it one more time before we
it
go.
was 222 pounds.
That's exactly right. All right. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Appreciate that.